What can you tell us about how the A's have been so far this season? They're above expectations right now, right?
Depends on whose expectations you talk about, right?
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console is needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. With me as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, it's another Friday.
Yeah, it's another Friday. Let's get ready for the first West Coast trip of the year.
Yeah, before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. We surpassed 8,750 subscribers on YouTube on Thursday, so thank you all. You all rule. On today's show, we will quickly preview the pitching matchup in Sacramento against the Athletics, which still sounds very strange to say. It's Fan Mail Friday. We'll be answering your Yankee questions. But first, we actually have a special guest on the show. We are going to scout the Athletics with Booney of Locked On A's. So without further ado, let's talk to him. With us for a special crossover segment of the show is Booney, the host of Locked On A's. Booney, you're going to tell us everything we need to know about the A's?
Everything, 100%. Absolutely. How's it go, Stacey, Brian?
What's up, man?
I'm excited about this. I actually am. I'm looking forward to seeing how the ballpark plays, how it looks on TV. This is the second time the Yankees are playing in a minor league park. Of course, the first one is their own minor league park that they play in spring training. So this will be interesting.
Yeah.
Let's scout the A's. What can you tell us about how the A's have been so far this season? They're above expectations right now, right?
Depends on whose expectations you talk about, right? So the big thing everyone missed last year with regard to the A's was how good they were in the month of July and August. They were third or fourth best record in all of the American League. And it was the only time all season where they had a consistent roster because everyone had their mind on sell the team and all that good stuff, right? But when you have, like, in your daily lineup, you have 6 first-round picks, 4 of them are top 10 picks that are starting to develop, you're going to be a hell of a team. The big question with regard to the A's was pitching, right? Severino was our big offseason signing that you guys have seen, and he's been Severino, right? He's going to fight you. He's a tough guy. He's going to eat up innings. He's going to have his real lights out type of outings. He's going to get hit up in other types of outings. The A's are known as sluggers, right? They want to hit the long ball. They're 6th, I think, in all of baseball right now in home runs. We have 2 guys that's been especially surprising. Jacob Wilson, who I think I actually dropped a show today, is a clone of Derek Jeter. If you watch him play, now I'm not saying he's Derek Jeter, slow down Yankee fans, but if you watch him play, his movement at the plate, the same type of criticisms as far as Jeter at shortstop, as far as arm strength and power, they are identical. They were both the 6th overall pick, which I didn't know until I actually looked it up. They are clones of each other. So the A's so far this year, 20-18, we've given a few away. I don't want to talk about the last 2 games. We're just absolute nightmares, but we could easily be 23-15. We've played some tough games. We've had 3 series, one against the Cubs, one against the Padres, one against the Mets, where we've gone 3-6, 2-7, a pretty good team. So we'll see. I'm happy with where we're at. We got to get better. Pitching needs to obviously establish, and Lawrence Butler and Brett Rooker need to be the superstars they're supposed to.
You know who's killed it for the A's and who has, the Severino signing is interesting, right? Bringing him over from the Mets after he had a really good year for the Mets, right? And was really solid. I kind of liked that signing for the A's, especially for the longer term for them. It keeps some stability at the front of that rotation, but I think Stacey knows where I'm going with this. Miguel Andújar has absolutely been killing it for the A's. He's got like a nearly 800 OPS. I didn't realize he's hitting 320. Talk about the impact Miguel Andújar has had in the lineup, because I mean, I don't think there's a single Yankee fan that didn't think that Miguel Andújar could be a viable major leaguer while he was here. It's just crazy the way things turned out, and now he's still a viable major leaguer.
All off season, I talked about Miguel Andújar and how everybody was sleeping on Miguel Andújar. He was the runner-up to Rookie of the Year to Shohei Ohtani. He crushed it in the Yanks uniform. He played third base for the Yanks, but then he had shoulder surgery, and his big thing has been staying healthy. But the deal with Miguel Andújar is he is a professional hitter. The deal with him right now is a position. We recently put him back at third base. First time he's played third base in I don't know how long, 3 or 4 years. He's had only 2 chances at third base. He's 1 for 2. So he's going to be shaky a little bit defensively out there. He's made 1 error and 2 tries, but we just need him to make the normal plays. If he can do that, he's fine. Our lineup turns into a whole different animal if Miguel Andújar is in there. If it's not Miguel Andújar, it's Gio Urshela, who's an above average defensive third baseman, but doesn't give us anything on the plate. I mean, him and Andújar, forget it. I mean, Andújar is unreal. You have him in the 4 slot. He's driving in runs. Unbelievable. Love Miguel Andújar.
Him, Urshela, and Severino in the same roster for you guys is just, you're pulling at my heartstrings of like 2017, 2018. You really are.
Another, not former Yankee, but someone that the Yankees traded to the A's a few years back for Lou Trevino and Frankie Montas is JP Sears, who's turning into a pretty good pitcher. Tell us what you think of him.
My favorite pitcher on the staff for sure. We saw him come into his own second half of last year and really establish himself last year as the ace of the staff. Okay. Has a lot of similarities to Severino in the way they pitch and the way they fight. They're going to eat up innings, right? Sears' issue in the past has been command, right? He's always fallen behind in counts, giving up the long ball. Right now in ERA, I think 2.8, 2.9, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
33 strikeouts, 6 walks. Wow. And he's tearing it up, and he's eating up innings. Right now, he's the guy I want on the mound. In my eyes, he is our ace. He's our best pitcher.
Yeah, because we were previewing the pitching matchups on yesterday's show, and when I saw that, yeah, his ERA is 2.93 right now, which is pretty amazing. And the stuff that you said about him actually reminds me of Will Warren, who you guys will be seeing later tonight against your team, where he has the stuff, he has issues with command, he gets into like 0-2 counts, and then he'll either give up a really big hit, he'll walk someone. And I think if he just gets it together, maybe he can be like a JP Sears, maybe not this season, or maybe start to this season and maybe come into his own in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sears has been amazing. And that's the thing with the A's, right? The A's are getting all those guys that you haven't heard of that all of a sudden are coming up now. Like, for example, everyone talks about Matt Chapman. And believe me, I love Matt Chapman. But now we're seeing what we got in return for him yesterday in Gunnar Hoglund, who was a 2021 first-round pick out of Mississippi. And he's had 2 starts in the major leagues, and he's given up 3 runs total in about 13 innings. And I thought he was going to complete us. We're up 5-0 yesterday. He's going into the 6th inning, and I'm like, we are complete. And then just as long as then they came back and scored 6 unanswered, and that was a wrap.
You know, it's funny. It does. I think the A's are a good test, actually, to Yankee fans, because we have this discussion pretty much throughout every season. And I bet that your discussions are a little different come trade deadline time, Booney. But Yankee fans are always looking for the team to upgrade. And it feels like every year we're looking for some type of starting pitcher or some type of bullpen relief or whatever it is. And the Yankees have made multiple trades in the last 5-10 years with the A's. It seems like they're always between the Frankie Montas trade, between the Sonny Gray trade from years back. JP Sears, pretty much as of now, is the only real viable big time major league talent that has come from those trades. And if I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, you are. Yeah, we're right.
But what I think is fascinating, I think you could speak to this too on more of a from an A's perspective, is Yankee fans lose it when they make one of those trades and it's for their 5th to 8th, 9th, 12th, 2nd, whatever prospect. And no, you can't give up all these kids. You can't give up all these kids. Think about it for a second, Yankee fans, and we'll hear the A's perspective in a second. But think about it a second if you're a Yankee fan, how angry you were when they gave up this ranked, this ranked, this ranked prospect, and how many of them actually panned out, and if the trade was actually worth it or not.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, when you're talking about upgrading, you got to think first, what are you trying to get better at? Who do you have and who can you get? You know, the thing with the A's fans and when they look back at ownership and history is, well, ownership didn't spend. Okay, well, you got to remember what everyone forgets is the A's have made the postseason 11 times since 2000, which is 7th in all of baseball. Okay, so who did you want to get rid of? Who did you want to replace? Who did you want to spend? Right now, the people that we spent in the offseason, our second and third biggest signings, have cost us games in Jeffrey Springs and Jose Leclerc, right? I mean, we spent $10.5 million a year for Springs and about $11 million for Leclerc. It was a situation where we just wanted to spend. Well, we actually had to spend, but you know, it's that type of situation. So yeah, no, you're right. A lot of them don't work out. I mean, I keep pretty close track of what's going on in the minor leagues right now with the A's and so forth. If you can get yourself a proven Major League Baseball player, I mean, that's why the draft's there as well. You know, you have to get yourself a Major League Baseball player that's ready to win and contribute to winning, and you're okay.
I'm interested to know how things are going in the new ballpark, the ballpark in Sacramento. How are the games played? Do the balls fly out? Like, how does the ballpark handle Major League Baseball?
I've been to about 6 games so far this year, 2 against the Mariners. So there's 2 things. The ball's going to fly first and foremost, right? The ball's absolutely going to fly. Right field has a fence about half the size of Yankee Stadium's right field fence. It's about 4 or 5 feet tall, meaning defenders can literally climb over and reach and try to get rob a home run ball. We haven't seen that yet. There's 2 things to keep an eye on. If the wind is a big factor, for example, on Monday night, nice night, wind was blowing in. Shea Langoliers crushed one to left field that I think came off the bat at like 110, barely got over the fence. And then, but when the wind's blowing out, it absolutely flies. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday and Saturday, it's going to be just hot and still. I think tomorrow night you could see a game where it's like 14-11 with Osvaldo Bido on the hill for us. I'm not kidding. It's going to be that type of night. And I'm sure after I just said that, it'll be 2-1. But you know, so
yeah, hammer the under on FanDuel, of course, because they sponsor us. Booney, I want to ask before we get to the point of wrapping this up, what is your plan for Vegas when they move there? Are you going with them?
No, come on.
Like what? Because they're not necessarily close to northern. Like Vegas to LA is a reasonable trip, but Northern California is not. No. So what's your plan? Just stay a fan and root for them.
It's 100%. Yeah, 100%. You know, my take on it is, I started liking the A's in 1981. Went to all the games when I was a kid. Then all of a sudden, the Raiders left to LA. Came back, and the city of Oakland did everything in their power to bring the Raiders back. And Al Davis, yes, sir, Mr. Davis, yes, you know, do whatever. They built Mount Davis in the Coliseum. They ruined a perfect Coliseum. So, you know, as far as that goes, yeah, I'll always be an A's fan. I like what they stand for. The A's, to me, is a team where the individual who's in the back of their line is what happens when they finally get their chance, you know, and the A's have been that. And that's what I love about the A's. That's their identity. And yeah, I'll always be an A's fan no matter where they go. But no, I'm not going to be going to many games in Vegas.
Do you have any predictions for the series?
I tell you what's going to happen. I think the Yanks will get tomorrow. I don't know who your TBD is on Sunday.
Yeah, we don't either.
Yeah. Excuse me. I think the Yanks will get tonight. I apologize. And I think the series is going to really come down to Sears and Rodón on tomorrow afternoon. So whoever wins that, that's the only guy I was a little bit worried of. Well, excuse me, Max Fried was, but Rodon's pretty darn good too.
Yeah, both of the Yankees aces have been electric. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to see what game Miguel Andújar goes for 400 feet in a home run.
Right.
Yeah.
Because especially not being a major power hitter, there's definitely one of those absolute mammoth shots coming out of him.
Keep an eye, Yankee fans, keep an eye on watch Jacob Wilson and the people that watch Jeter. See if there's some sort of similarity. And another guy we picked up on waivers in 2024. Here's a little bit of an interesting story from Tampa Bay. We picked him up on waivers. So far in the big leagues in 18 2/3 innings, Justin Sterner hasn't allowed a run. Here's the caveat on top of that. 12 innings in spring training, he didn't allow a run. So he's at 30 2/3 innings in a A's uniform without allowing a run. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in our description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. We send out the lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up, it's Fan Mail Friday, and we'll be answering your questions next. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual. It's a lifeline. It's the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why would you settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. I took Trade's quiz. It only took a minute. The first bag they sent me was spot on. The second bag they sent me, I keep smelling every time I walk into my kitchen because it's incredible. The flavor notes are peanut and cashew brittle, praline honey bear meets Teddy Graham. I cannot wait to try this. If your first match isn't perfect, Trade will replace it for free until they get it just right. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. And Locked On Yankees is also brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console is required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. We have a new way for our YouTube viewers to submit Fan Mail Friday questions. So you go to the Locked On Yankees page, to the channel, main page. You go over to the post tab, and then you scroll down to see where I put, leave your Fan Mail Friday questions here, and I will give you a deadline. Easy peasy. It's a lot of fun. Please get yourselves involved in Fan Mail Friday. You will see in a moment why we like doing this every week. All right, Fan Mail Friday. If you're not an everydayer, if you don't listen or watch us all the time, we'll explain. Every Friday we have Fan Mail Friday. We have our insiders submit questions. We have YouTube viewers submit questions, and you can ask us anything. Doesn't have to just be about the Yankees, could be baseball related. And every Friday we start with our insiders, and every Friday we start with Betty, and this is what Betty says. If Williams has indeed turned a corner with his performance Wednesday in a clutch situation, could this be the moment that puts him back in the closer role, or will they continue to use him as they have recently?
You know, it's interesting because I don't know if I would consider it a turned corner per se yet, right? I want to see a little more evidence before I call it a turned corner yet. I will say, I love the confidence that I saw out of him, right? I love the confidence in, like I said on that last night's episode, on throwing the changeup in the spot with the bases loaded, knowing you could potentially walk in the game leading run, and still not caring, and throwing the ball out of the zone, knowing he's going to swing. That's the Devin Williams he needs to get back to. Will he go back to the closer role? Yes. I think doing this early in the season is kind of helpful, but they also realize this division is close as of now, right? No one's pulling away. And I think there's enough evidence of the teams in the division that it's going to be a tight race throughout the season. No one's going to pull away. They're going to need him getting himself right at this point in the season is more important than anything else, because it's going to mean a lot in October when he's ready, right? But the wins still do matter right now. So putting Luke Weaver in to make sure the saves are required and they get the wins they need, but also having Devin Williams work on things is important. But Stacey, he still is one of the best closers in all of baseball, so I think he will be in at some point. I don't know when that comes. Probably mid-June at this point, they'll trust him again in that role, but I think he will be back in that role at some point.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not going to be just Wednesday's performance. They have to see a lot more from him, because with the way he was pitching this season, he had a few blow-ups early. Then he had a streak of like 3 or 4 good outings where nothing bad happened. And then he started to shift again to having a problem nearly every time he stepped on the mound. So I think they're going to need more out of him. And I'm not sure about your timetable, because we're only still technically in early May.
True. That's true.
I think maybe by the end of May, maybe early June, we might see that, because then again, Loaizaga is on his way back. When he comes back, the bullpen is going to look even more different than it is now. And if Williams is not in the position to close yet, maybe something happens with Weaver where something happens with him. They have Loaizaga who could step in there while Williams is still working on things. So I don't think it's as much of a rush necessarily, and they have options. Let's also remember too,
if I can bring this up too, like it might sound obvious. I'm not being rude to Betty right here, but hear me out. These guys are people too, right? And this is a guy who got called up, started his career in Milwaukee, and lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, his entire baseball adult life, right? Got married there, the whole nine. Moves to New York, a much bigger city with a lot more going on and a lot more people. Had to move his whole life from Milwaukee to New York, find a house, get all his things moved. Not to mention him and his wife had a baby earlier on this season a few weeks ago. So this is, accounting. He's moved all of his stuff to New York. He found a new house. He's starting a life in New York. He doesn't know if he's going to be staying in New York because he's going to be an upcoming free agent. Just had a kid. There's a lot going on in this guy's personal life too. So it could take a while to just get comfortable. Whereas in Milwaukee, it was kind of easy to have a 1.2 ERA when he lived in the same house, didn't have children, had the same girlfriend, and life was kind of normal and quiet. Now he's got, instead of 2 guys in his locker after a game, he's got 50 guys in his locker after a game. They're asking him questions. He's in the paper every day. WFAN's talking about him. There's a lot more going on in his life than there was in Milwaukee. So these guys are people too. They do have, there's a mental psyche that goes into it. So I'm not as concerned as a lot of people are acting like they are with Devin Williams. This isn't just a natural boom. He's going to figure it out. It takes a bit. So I think he'll be in the closer role at some point. Plus, Stacey, you don't trade for a guy like this if you're not going to have him closing in the biggest spots of the year.
Right. I do think that Wednesday helped him a lot, though. Like that situation, getting himself into the pickle that he got himself into and getting out of that inning with that line of batters was a big deal.
And again, the pitch selection too, to not go to the fastball, to go to the changeup and throw it out of the zone, knowing someone's going to swing at it and not with the bases loaded and 3 balls in the count. Like that shows an insane amount of confidence. Like legitimately, the guts that it takes as a reliever with the bases loaded and the potential game-winning run on third base with the bases loaded with 3 balls to know your stuff is so filthy. You can throw it out of the zone here and someone's still going to swing. That's an insane amount of confidence. And anytime he's up there and speaking to the media and saying, no, he feels fine, he feels confident, even though his numbers are trash, remember that he's telling the truth. This guy ain't lying to try and placate to the fan base. He is telling the truth, because any guy with confidence, if you lack in any confidence whatsoever, you are not throwing a ball in that spot. You're throwing the ball. You're throwing a fastball down the middle, hoping he misses. The batter swings and misses. Let's go to David F. Stacey. His question is, given the results of the last 2 off seasons, do you think Major League Baseball teams are becoming more wary of Scott Boras' clients due to the baggage he brings to every contract? I'd say no. And, I don't think it's going to change. Like, Scott Boras is the agent of all of the biggest players in baseball, pretty much, for the most part. For every contract that he's signed with a client of his that hasn't worked out, there's also Bryce Harper.
Right.
That has worked out for $27 million a year, who is the king of Philadelphia right now. So, like, I think when guys sign somewhere, Stacey, and it's this big drama-ridden offseason, and then you're waiting to see where he goes, we all blame Boras. Oh, look at this. He's screwing this guy over, not remembering the mega contracts that he has in the past of guys that have already signed. Because once those deals are signed, we just forget about it. Right? Like, when does Bryce Harper ever hit a big postseason home run? Your reaction is never, Scott Boras, what an offseason he had that year. No one thinks of it that way, right? So, like, for all the bad contracts there's a lot of good contracts there, too. So, I think more than anything, you're never going to not go after a player because of the contract, because of the agent.
I do think it's interesting, though, that within the last few seasons, he has lost a few clients where people have left him to go elsewhere because things didn't work out the way they thought it would in free agency.
Blake Snell. I mean, case in point, right? I mean, Blake Snell gets the short-term deal with the Giants, wanted the long-term deal, and he's lucky he came back after that injury last year and pitched at a Cy Young level with the Giants, because there's no way the Dodgers would have given him the money that he got.
Yeah.
Like, he bet on himself and won, but there's a lot of clients that it's happened like that. I don't think they love the way that he's handled things, but at the same time, Stacey, I mean, he did get Juan Soto nearly $1 billion in a deal.
Was Jordan Montgomery another one?
Yeah, Jordan Montgomery, a perfect example of that one. So, yeah. But, I mean, while you can say all the things about Jordan Montgomery leaving with Scott Boras and all that stuff, Jordan Montgomery is also the guy that knew to get an opt-out in his deal, or an opt-in in his case. And when he got hurt, he opted in, and look at what's going on now in Arizona. So, there are little things that, like, agents can help you out with and stuff like that. People forget those kind of things.
Right.
And again, just got Juan Soto nearly $1 billion. So,
yeah. All right. Our final insider question is from a new insider named Denise.
Would you like me to read this just because it's long for you?
Oh, yes. If you'd like to do that.
Trying to be a gentleman. So chivalry.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay.
Yes. So our new insider, Denise, thank you for being an insider and for submitting this question. I'll start now. The Yankees have a couple of problems, which, when combined, have a fairly obvious, albeit unconventional, solution. Problem number 1, we have no place for Stanton when he returns from the IL because Rice has been so good. Problem number 2, we don't have a good third baseman. Why are we not talking about the possibility of Rice at third? I know it's not where he normally plays, and he may not be good right away, but wouldn't we rather have his bat in the lineup with the possibility of him being decent at third and having a Stanton back at DH versus Peraza or Cabrera at third, and having to choose between Rice or Stanton at DH? Oh, and I'm sorry, but this solution is still better than considering DJ LeMahieu at third when he returns. But that's what Boone will do because he plays the players he favors on a personal level. Do you think this is a viable solution? And if so, why is it not being considered? I know where our answers are both going to be, but go ahead, Stacey. I'll let you go.
I never even thought of Rice at third base as a possibility, because you can't just stick someone at third base, especially if it's someone who started out as a catcher who they put at first base, because first base isn't as hard to do as, say, third base, second base, shortstop, because those positions are way different than first base. Like, sure, you move off the line a bit, you may have to dive after a ball, but mostly with first base, you're catching the ball from other fielders in the outfield. Where third, short, you're the general of the infield. But third base isn't a very easy position to just start playing. So I don't think that would ever happen.
We say this a lot. And again, Denise, this is not meant in a disrespectful way remotely, but it's not high school baseball. You can't just throw guys at positions and say, figure it out. This is the major league level. The guys that are playing third base in the major league level have been playing third base their entire lives and been working at that craft their entire lives. And they also call it the hot corner for a reason.
You know what I think the problem is, though? Is that the Yankees in the past have done this. And I'm not talking A-Rod shifting to third because Jeter wouldn't move out of shortstop.
Sure.
I'm talking about when they tried to put A-Rod at first in 2016 when he was at the tail end of his career, and what an unmitigated disaster that was. You know,
It's
and there are
also
other-
an easier transition though to go over to first base though than to go over to third. You don't really
Right.
see guys going over to third too much. No, but I agree with you, Denise. They have a legitimate problem with the Stanton thing. Because Stanton A makes too much money, but B is also still a productive player. So you can't just, you know, it's impossible to find a replacement. You can't just keep him out of the lineup. And with Ben Rice, you also can't keep Ben Rice out of the lineup at this point. He's played his way into the lineup too, so they're gonna have to figure something out. And I don't think it works, to be honest with you, having these guys playing, you know, 1, 2, or 3 days a week. I don't. You can't have that. You can't have a player like John. You need Stan to get into a rhythm. You can't have him playing 2 or 3 days a week. It doesn't work. I don't know what they're gonna do. I still think there's a legitimate possibility Nolan Arenado's a candidate that they're gonna trade for him. They have the pieces. They have the ability with their farm system. I think that's a legitimate possibility, especially because the Cardinals, again, they're going to get more desperate to move him as their season tails off more and more and more. They're going to have to move him just to get some value back for him. I don't see how the Yankees wouldn't be interested in that, especially because they're getting no production out of third base right now. Yeah, they'll play LeMahieu, but I think me and Stacey both agree on this one too. The cream's going to rise to the crop at some point with that one. I mean, LeMahieu at some point is going to prove that he's just not capable of playing at a major league level anymore, and they're going to have to make a decision at some point. I'm fascinated to see how this works out, though, Stacey, because I don't think there is something they can do with the Stanton and Rice thing. Like you can't platoon them.
No.
These guys both need to play every day, so I think they're in a really tough spot. I'm not kidding. They're in a really tough position here.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because, you know, Stanton's starting to do more to get ready to get back. And he doesn't necessarily really have to have a rehab start because he doesn't play a position. He just hits. So he could just suddenly get off the IL and be in the lineup. And I don't envy Aaron Boone. I really don't. That's it for the insider questions. So coming up next, we have 2 Fan Mail Friday questions from YouTube, and we're going to quickly go through the pitching matchups for the weekend series in Sacramento against the A's.
The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. There's major momentum shifts, and you can't miss moments throughout all these games. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in on the game, guys. Before tip-off, live, with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. Can you not be excited about the Knicks? I mean, Saturday, 3 p.m., everyone in New York will be glued to their television to watch Game 3 of that series, and you can get involved live. If the Knicks go down Saturday, how could you not want to bet them live? They've come back down 20 points in Games 1 and 2 of this series, and the Celtics have never blown a 20-game lead in the history of their postseason. So if you can't be excited about basketball at this point of year as a New Yorker, I don't know what to say to you guys. And here's the best thing, too. FanDuel makes it so easy. Are you new to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up, and I'll tell you why. You can head over to FanDuel.com right now and place your first $5 bet. That's it. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Think about what you could do with that. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. You can check out the Locked On Yankees postcast. It's hosted by Jay Berman right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. Stacey, we continue with Fan Mail Friday for this week. We go to the first question. Rivka Mieselman, 3375. I pronounced it very well that time. What do you make of Jorbit Vivas's batting stance?
Bebas. It's Bebas. I have not noticed anything. I don't think I noticed anything too out of the ordinary with it. Right?
I'm rewatching it right now.
Because
I want to see if there's anything. There's a lot of load in his swing. Like he really loads up at the end. It has a lot of Ronald Acuna or Ozzy Albies kind of to it, where he's got the bat a little higher and he gathers up all of his strength, loads up, and then gets all into it. Yeah. I don't hate it, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's anything flashy or different. It's a regular batting stance, in my opinion.
Yeah. And our last question of the week which is slightly amusing because it was submitted before Wednesday night's game. It's from Paige O. Strander 12 on YouTube. Hi, I love your podcast. Thank you. And was just wondering what the heck the Yankees are going to do with Devin Williams and if he will get back on track to be the player we hoped he would be. 2 question marks. Thank you. Thank you, Paige.
Paige, I'll make a bold prediction for you. I believe what they're going to do with Devin Williams is he's going to figure it out and be a Yankee for the next 6 years because he's going to sign a 6-year deal for over $100 million. That's what I think is going to wind up happening. Honestly, I think he's going to figure it out. There's too much evidence of a track record of him being an elite level closer at this point in his career. So I can't sit here and think that Devin Williams is not going to figure things out. If he doesn't, they're in the perfect scenario here. Both Stacey and Paige, I guess we're addressing that they're in the perfect scenario here because if the Devin Williams thing doesn't work out, they just let him walk in the offseason. And if they see something and Matt Blake thinks that he can fix something with Devin Williams, well, now the season ends and you can get him at a much cheaper price than he would have ever cost because he just came off a really bad season.
Right.
And you have Luke Weaver. And if Devin Williams is great, then you bring him back and you sign him to a massive contract extension because he claims to love it in New York. Either way, it's a win-win spot. It's only a 1-year chance with him. So I think Devin Williams, though, is going to figure out there's too much of a track record of him being great. I think he'll figure it out.
Yep, I agree with that. Thank you all for your questions. Now let's do an extremely quick preview of this weekend's matchups in Sacramento. We mentioned it on Thursday. We'll talk about it again just quickly. So tonight, Will Warren against Oswaldo Bido. Carlos Rodón against JP Sears, who we spoke about with Booney in segment 1 on Saturday. And then Sunday was TBD, but ESPN is saying that Clark Schmidt will be facing off against former teammate Luis Severino. So that'll be interesting.
A lot of former players of each team on matchups here. JP Sears, who never made a Yankee debut, I don't think. But no. We'll be pitching for the A's on Saturday against Carlos Rodón, which, by the way, looking to see another Rodón amazing start. I feel like last year, whenever Rodón would string together 2 or 3 great pit starts in a row, we'd be like, all right, let's see him keep going with this. And then he'd always have the 3rd or 4th start after that where he'd mess up and we'd, return back to, all right, let's see what he can do. It would be a vicious cycle. That hasn't happened this year. It's been now 5 or 6 starts of great pitching for Carlos Rodón. So yeah, I can hear you knocking on the wood in the background. Let's see if he can continue it and just roll through the season because he's done that before with other teams. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what Carlos Rodón continues to do. The ERA is below 3 already, which is crazy.
Well, that's what I was just going to point out before we end the show. Rodón is 4-3 with a 2.96 ERA, and Sears is 4-2 with a 2.93 ERA. So they're extremely similar to one another.
Looking forward. It's going to be a great pitching matchup.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And Junior Mafia, I'm still going to give you a shout out, even though you predicted the Yankees were going to sweep the Padres. It wasn't that far from a sweep because if they didn't mess up on Monday, it could have been a sweep, but they won 2 out of 3. So you were close enough. So I'm giving you that shout out. So be happy.
Bold prediction.
Yeah. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We will catch you guys next week.